Hi again, folks. How you all doing? I'm aware I haven't uploaded a video for a couple of weeks. I've been just been busy with other things. Sometimes life just kind of gets in the way. You can't mess around with model railways every single day, all of the time. You've got to do other things, especially this time of year when the weather's kind of warming up and there's things need done outside and stuff. And I'm going to be getting a new shed in a couple of months' time, so I've got to clear everything out of the old one, which is going to be, yeah, it's I'm getting there, but I've still got an awful lot of stuff to get rid of. So yeah, that's an ongoing project. But here we go with episode 16 of In the Shed. Let's see what other locomotives I've been working on recently. First up is this Hornby HST made in Voyager that was sent to me by Joseph. This had been converted to DCC, but it wasn't running. I'm not sure if it had been wired incorrectly or if the decoder had blown, but the conversion did seem a bit crude to me. Joseph asked me to convert it back to DC with directional lighting as it would have been originally, so I stripped it all back, serviced the motor, rewired it for DC running with the directional lighting, and it ran fine. Unfortunately, I must have accidentally deleted the footage of this running round the layout for some reason. Joseph also sent me this Hornby Coronation Class Queen Mary. It had also been converted to DCC and wasn't running. It looked to me as if the conversion was incorrect, but again, Joseph asked me to convert this back to DC, so it was a simple job of stripping out the DCC wiring and reverting this back to its original DC running configuration. Joseph also sent me this Hornby Class 37 in EWS livery. It had been converted to DCC with a Hornby HM7000 decoder, but I couldn't get much out of it using Sprog, so I suspect the decoder had blown. I believe that's quite a common occurrence for these HM7000 decoders. As this had been converted with a socket, there was no need to rewire anything. I just fitted an 8-pin blanking plate to run it under DC, and I gave it a service. Job done. So if Joseph wants to fit another decoder into this, he can do so quite easily. If converting a DC model to DCC, I would always try to fit a socket if at all possible. I know space can dictate one way or the other, but having a socket does allow easy decoder removal and fitting. Another Hornby HST, this time sent to me by a chap called Armand. A pretty straightforward ringfield service, but the front bogie had a really badly bent axle which needed replaced. But other than that, nothing out of the ordinary with this one, and it ran fine. Armand also sent me this old Hornby 4F. It was running okay to be honest and just needed a bit of a service. They can be a bit of a fiddle, these Airfix tooled 4Fs, and invariably sound like coffee grinders, but this one wasn't actually too bad. This Hornby King George I was sent to me by Duncan. It was a non-runner and appeared to be shorting, Shorting can be a symptom of a blown decoder, and right enough, when I checked it, it was indeed blown. So I fitted a blanking plate for DC running, and it ran, but it was very lumpy and it was lurching badly. After further examination, it turned out the motor was glued in place and the worm gear was pressing too hard against the double gear. I removed the motor and refitted it so as to take a little pressure off the gears, and it ran fine. This Bachmann Manor class Hook Norton Manor was sent to me by Alex, who told me it was running a bit rough and the front bogie kept derailing. As usual for a split chassis Bachmann, the drive gear was a little split and it also appeared to be a little bit warped, which I think was causing a bit of a wobble. Alex had sent a replacement gear from Bachmann, so I fitted that. I find the gears from Bachmann are not as good quality or as good a fit as the ones from Peter's Spares. I had a bit of a job getting this replacement axle to fit because it was such a tight fit, and I suspect it'll split again one day. The model had been overly greased, as is so often the case with these split chassis models, so I cleaned it all up. The front bogies on some of these old Bachmanns are prone to derail. The wheel flanges are way too shallow and they can be very light, so it doesn't take much to bump them off the track. I fitted a longer fixing screw to the bogie to give it a bit of a longer drop, and also fitted a washer to make it move about a little smoother, and that seemed to do the trick. It certainly didn't derail when I ran it. Dave sent me 4 old locomotives to get going again, 2 of which were these very old 00 Class 55s. The first one needed a complete rewire as the wires were broken and had gone brittle. The motor needed a good service. It also needed 4 new traction tyres, which are only available from one seller on eBay as far as I can see these days. But after a good clean-up and service, new wiring and new tyres, this old machine ran okay. You always have to accept a bit of noise and wobbling with these old models, and this was no exception. The second 55 was much the same, but the wiring was okay. It just needed resoldered in a couple of places. Again, I serviced the motor, fitted new tyres, and I also adjusted the wheel spacing of the middle axle on both bogies, which had become way too wide. Once again, it ran okay with a bit of noise and a bit of a shugle, but that's what they do. Always fun to work on these old models and get them running again. Dave also sent me this old Trang Pullman power car. He said it did run, but not too well, and it didn't like points very much. This had the old large flange wheels, which don't work properly on modern tracks, so I serviced the motor and I fitted replacement wheels to both bogies. I managed to get replacement drive wheels off eBay with smaller flanges. I could only get the serrated ones, but they'll work fine. On the unpowered bogie, I fitted wheels sold by Peter Spares that have one live wheel, which allow pickups to be added easily. So I fitted guitar string pickups to improve the power collection, so it won't stop on points and crossings anymore. Sometimes these motors run extremely well, and sometimes they don't. As I've said before, it's all down to how well the armature is balanced and how worn the bearings are. But at the end of the day, it's an old model with an old motor. It's not going to run anything like as well as a modern model, but it will certainly outlast modern models. And finally, Dave sent me this Dublo Denbigh Castle. He asked me to service this, but on test running, it ran absolutely fine for an old Dublo locomotive with a half-inch motor. It ran fairly quietly and smoothly with no issues. So I decided to only do a very light service on this and just give it a wee bit of a clean up, some fresh lubrication and a check over. If one of these old models is running well, I very much believe in leaving it alone. Don't go messing around with it, you just risk disturbing the model's equilibrium and you could end up making the model run worse or noisier than it was. As long as the commutator is reasonably clean and nothing is gunked up, the current draw is okay and everything is otherwise fine, just leave it alone. Don't fix what isn't broke. So there we go, that's some of the other locomotives I've been working on recently. I should be able to get a repair request video out fairly soon. I've got two on the go at the moment. One of them should be straightforward. The other one, yeah, I've been working on it for a wee while. I've had to order some stuff for it, and I'm not entirely sure I'm going to be able to get it running, but we shall see. Fingers crossed on that. I did manage to get hold of another Lima BR Maroon coach, and I'm in the middle of building a house for the layout. Possibly the last house, I'm not sure. But I need to get back working on the layout again, so I hope to do a layout update video soon as well. Okay, folks, in the meantime, catch you later.